Harwell's voice cuts through the low murmur of lunch service like a blade through silk. You're done here. Clean out your locker. The room doesn't go silent. That would be too dramatic, too cinematic. Instead, the conversations continue at their polite volume. The clink of silverware on porcelain persists, and somewhere near the windows, a woman laughs at something her companion has said. But I feel the attention shift, the kind of sideways awareness that comes when people sense conflict but don't want to be caught watching. My hands are still holding the empty dessert tray. I set it down on the nearest service station, keeping my movements slow and controlled, because if I rush, if I fumble, I'll shatter whatever composure I have left. I'm sorry? My voice comes out quieter than I intended. You heard me? Harwell's face is the particular shade of red that comes from fury contained behind professional courtesy. He's the floor manager here at the Laureate, one of those private club restaurants where memberships cost more than I make in a year. I've worked here for 8 months, long enough to learn the rhythm of the place, not long enough, apparently, to understand the rules. I don't understand the child. He bites off each word. You gave the child ice cream. I glance toward table 7, where the little girl is still sitting with her father. She's maybe 6 years old, dark hair pulled back in a blue ribbon, wearing a dress that probably cost more than my rent. She's eating the vanilla ice cream I brought her, swinging her legs beneath the chair, oblivious to the fact that her dessert just ended my employment. Her father is watching me, not watching Harwell, not watching the scene unfolding in the middle of his lunch, just watching me. He's the kind of man you notice without meaning to, not because he's loud or demanding, but because of the stillness he carries. Even seated, he has a presence that makes the air around him feel denser. Dark suit, dark hair touched with gray at the temples, and eyes that I can feel from across the room. I've served him 3 times in the past month. He never speaks more than necessary, never complains. Tips exactly 20%, calculated to the dollar. She asked for ice cream, I say to Harwell, keeping my voice level. I brought her ice cream. You brought her something that wasn't ordered. You made a decision without consulting the kitchen, without checking with me, and without regard for club policy. Harwell's hands are clasped behind his back, his spine rigid. Mr. Volkov is one of our most valued members. You don't presume to know what his daughter needs. She's a child who wanted ice cream. The words come out before I can stop them. It wasn't a presumption. It was ice cream. Something flickers across Harwell's face. Surprise, maybe, that I'm pushing back. I never push back. I've learned over the years that pushing back only makes things worse. But standing here with my livelihood disintegrating over a scoop of vanilla seems like such a profound injustice that I can't quite make myself bow my head and accept it. Clear. Out. Your. Locker. Harwell turns on his heel and walks toward the kitchen, leaving me standing alone in the center of the dining room with everyone trying very hard not to stare. I should leave immediately. I should take what's left of my dignity and walk out. Instead, I make the mistake of looking back at table 7. The little girl is still eating her ice cream, but her father is still watching me. Our eyes meet for just a moment, and I see something there I can't quite name. Not pity, not amusement. Something more careful, more deliberate. Then I turn and walk toward the staff corridor, my spine straight, my hands steady, even though everything inside me is fracturing. The locker room smells like industrial detergent and the faint ghost of cigarette smoke that clings to some of the staff, despite the strict no smoking policy. My locker is number 42, tucked in the corner near the maintenance closet. I spin the combination lock, 16, 31, 7, and pull out the few items I keep here. A cardigan, in case the dining room gets cold. A paperback novel with a cracked spine. An extra pair of stockings still in the package. A granola bar I never got around to eating. It all fits in my purse. 8 months of work reduced to objects that weigh less than a pound. I'm changing out of my uniform when Lena comes in. She's another server, older than me by a decade, with a weathered face and kind eyes that have seen too much. Sable, honey, I'm sorry. It's fine. I fold my uniform blouse carefully, leaving it on the bench for whoever handles the laundry. It's not fine. Harwell's being an asshole. Lena leans against the lockers, her arms crossed. That little girl looked so happy when you brought her that ice cream. Apparently, that wasn't the point. The point is that Harwell's terrified of anyone who might complain. And Volkov. She trails off, shaking her head. He's not the kind of man you cross. I look up from buttoning my coat. What do you mean? Lena hesitates, choosing her words carefully. He's connected. I don't know the details, and I don't want to know the details. But people treat him differently. You've seen it. The way Harwell practically bows when Volkov walks in. The way the general manager makes sure his table is always available, even if it means moving reservations around. So he's rich and important. Half the members here are rich and important. It's different with him. Lena's voice drops lower. I've worked at the Laureate for 12 years. I've seen a lot of powerful people come through those doors. Politicians, CEOs, old money families who've had membership since the club opened. But Volkov, when he's here, even the other powerful people get quiet. I close my locker and spin the lock. Well, it doesn't matter now. I won't be seeing him again. Lena touches my shoulder, a brief gesture of solidarity. You'll find something else. You're good at this. Apparently, not good enough. I hoist my purse onto my shoulder and walk out of the locker room for the last time. The staff exit leads to an alley behind the Laureate, a narrow strip of pavement between the club's brick facade and the building across the way. It's drizzling, the kind of persistent mist that's too light to justify an umbrella but heavy enough to soak through clothing given time. I don't have an umbrella anyway. I walk. My apartment is 45 minutes away by subway, but I need the time to think, to process, to figure out what comes next. The rent is due in 12 days. I have enough money in my checking account to cover it. Barely. But that will leave me with almost nothing for food or utilities. I'll need to find another job immediately. Today, if possible. But who's going to hire me without references? And Harwell will never give me a reference. Not after I questioned him in front of the members. The panic starts in my chest, a tight knot of anxiety that makes it hard to breathe. I've been in this position before, more than once, and every time I've clawed my way back to stability, only to have something knock me down again. It's exhausting, the constant precarity, the feeling that I'm one mistake away from losing everything. I gave a child ice cream. That was my mistake. The thought is so absurd that I almost laugh. But there's nothing funny about it. In the world I live in, that kind of mistake is enough. I'm halfway to the subway station when I hear footsteps behind me. I don't turn around. I've lived in this city long enough to know that acknowledging someone following you can sometimes make things worse, but the footsteps match my pace, staying close enough that I know they're deliberate. Miss Hale. The voice is male, unfamiliar, and entirely too close. I stop walking and turn around. The man standing 3 feet away is tall and broad-shouldered, wearing a dark suit that looks expensive even in the drizzle. He's maybe 35, with a face that would be handsome if it weren't so carefully blank. Miss Sable Hale? Who's asking? My hand tightens on my purse strap. Mr. Volkov would like to speak with you. Of course. Of course this day would get stranger. I don't think that's a good idea. It wasn't a request. The man's tone doesn't change, but something in his posture does. A subtle shift that makes me aware of just how much larger he is than me, how empty this street is, how easily this could go wrong. I'm not going anywhere with you. I take a step back. Mr. Volkov is waiting in the car. The man gestures toward the street, where a black sedan is idling at the curb. The windows are tinted dark enough that I can't see inside. He'd prefer to speak with you privately. It will only take a moment. Every instinct I have is screaming at me to run, but I've learned to read people over the years, to distinguish between actual danger and implied threat. And this man, he's not threatening me. He's delivering a message. There's a difference. What does he want to talk about? That's between you and Mr. Volkov. I look at the car, then back at the man. If I say no, then I'll tell Mr. Volkov you declined and you'll go about your day. The man's expression doesn't change. But he was very specific that he wanted to speak with you. He doesn't often make such requests. The way he says it makes me think that refusing might not be the smartest move. Not because of what this man will do, but because of what refusing Caspian Volkov might mean in ways I don't yet understand. Fine. I walk toward the car. But I'm not getting in. He can roll down the window. The man nods, accepting this compromise without argument. He walks ahead of me and opens the rear door of the sedan, speaking briefly to whoever is inside. Architected scene dynamics establishing power, tension, and character foundation. I need to continue building this scene. Sable is approaching the car cautiously. This is her first direct interaction with Caspian Volkov. I need to show his power and control, establish his character. Calm, observant, deliberate. Make the conversation tension-filled but respectful. Have him acknowledge what happened without making her feel patronized. Start building their dynamic. Not resolve everything immediately. Let me continue writing the scene where they talk through the car door par window. Then Caspian Volkov steps out of the car instead. He's taller than I expected. At the table, seated, I could see his shoulders and his face, but standing he has several inches on me even though I'm not particularly short. He doesn't smile, doesn't offer a hand to shake, just looks at me with the same careful attention he had in the restaurant. Miss Hale. His voice is quiet, the kind of quiet that makes you lean in to hear better. I wanted to apologize. That's not what I expected. For what? For the scene in the dining room. You lost your position because of my daughter. He says it simply, as a statement of fact, rather than an expression of guilt. You didn't fire me, Harwell did. Because of my daughter, he repeats. The cause may be indirect, but the effect is the same. I shift my weight, uncomfortable with where this is going. Your daughter didn't do anything wrong. She asked for ice cream. I chose to bring it to her. Without permission, without following protocol. He tilts his head slightly. Why? Because she's 6 years old and she wanted ice cream. The words come out with more heat than I intended. Because making a child happy seemed more important than following protocol. Something changes in his expression. Not a smile, exactly. More like recognition. You were kind to her. Kindness should not be punished. Apparently, it should. Not by me. He reaches into his jacket and pulls out a business card, holding it between two fingers. I'm looking for someone to help manage my household. The position includes room and board, full benefits, and a salary that I think you'll find more than adequate. I stare at the card without taking it. You're offering me a job. Yes. Because I gave your daughter ice cream. Because you showed kindness to my daughter without expectation of reward, and you were punished for it. His eyes haven't left my face. And because I believe you would be good at the work. You don't know anything about me. I know enough. He moves his hand slightly, drawing my attention back to the card. You've worked at the Laureate for 8 months. Before that, you were at the Meridian Hotel for a year. Before that, a corporate reception desk downtown. You're punctual, professional, and you avoid conflict when possible. You're also struggling financially, based on the fact that you walk to the subway instead of taking a taxi, and you eat the staff meal at work rather than bringing lunch from home. The fact that he knows these things should terrify me. Maybe it does. A little. But mostly I'm angry. You had me investigated. I pay attention. He says it without apology. And I make it my business to know the people in my orbit. I'm not in your orbit. I just served you lunch a few times. And now I'm offering you a position in my household. If you accept, you will very much be in my orbit. He steps closer, not threatening, just closing the space between us enough that I have to look up to meet his eyes. I understand if you need time to consider, but the offer is genuine, and it stands regardless of how long you need to think about it. I should say no. Everything about this situation is wrong. Strange men don't offer live-in positions to women they barely know. Powerful men don't chase down fired waitresses to give them jobs. And yet, what exactly would I be doing? I ask. Managing the household staff, overseeing my daughter's daily schedule, ensuring the home runs smoothly. He pauses. I'm not often there. My work keeps me occupied. But Iris needs stability, and the current arrangement isn't providing that. Iris. The name fits the little girl with the blue ribbon. She's 6, bright, curious, prone to asking questions that most adults can't answer. There's something in his voice when he talks about her. Not softness exactly, but a different quality, less controlled. She liked you. That's not common. I brought her ice cream. Most kids like people who bring them ice cream. She liked you before the ice cream. He finally lowers his hand, tucking the business card back into his jacket. You smiled at her when we first arrived. A real smile, not the professional courtesy that service workers are trained to give. You noticed her. I did notice her. She was hard to miss, sitting so still and quiet at the table while her father reviewed documents. Clearly bored but well behaved. When I'd come to take their order, I'd caught her eye and smiled. And she'd smiled back with such sudden brightness that it had startled me. I need to think about it, I say finally. Volkov nods once, accepting this. He reaches into his jacket again, pulling out the business card a second time, and this time I take it. The card is heavy, expensive stock, with minimal information. Just a name, Caspian Volkov, and a phone number. Call when you've decided. He steps back toward the car. The position is yours if you want it. Then he's gone, sliding back into the sedan with a grace that seems at odds with his size. The door closes with a solid thunk, and the car pulls away from the curb, leaving me standing in the drizzle with a business card in my hand and absolutely no idea what just happened. I look down at the card. The paper is already starting to spot with moisture. I tuck it into my coat pocket and start walking again, my mind spinning through possibilities and dangers in equal measure. A job with room and board would solve my immediate problems. I wouldn't have to worry about rent or food, at least for a while. And if the salary is as good as Volkov suggested, I could start saving money, build up a cushion, have something to fall back on when this inevitably goes wrong, because it will go wrong. Things like this always do, but what if it doesn't? What if this is just a legitimate job offer from a man who happens to be wealthy and powerful and feels guilty that his daughter got me fired? Except Volkov didn't seem guilty. He seemed deliberate, like this was a decision he'd made carefully, not an impulsive gesture of compensation. I reach the subway station and descend into the familiar underground world of tile and fluorescent light, and the smell of hot metal and humanity. The platform is crowded with the lunch hour rush, people packed shoulder to shoulder, everyone avoiding eye contact in that particular city way. When the train arrives, I squeeze into a car that's already too full and grab a pole for balance. A man beside me is listening to music so loud I can hear it through his headphones. A woman across from me is reading a romance novel with a shirtless man on the cover. A teenager near the door is arguing with someone on her phone about meeting up later. Normal life. Normal people doing normal things. I wonder what they would think if they knew I was standing here considering a job offer from a man Lena called connected. A man who apparently commands so much power that even other powerful people get quiet when he's around. I should Google him. That's the first thing I should do when I get home. Find out who Caspian Volkov really is. The train lurches forward, and I sway with the motion, my hand tight on the pole. Through the window, I watch the tunnel walls slide past in a blur of darkness interrupted by occasional lights. By the time I reach my apartment, the drizzle has turned into proper rain. I'm soaked through, my coat heavy with water, my hair plastered to my face. I climb the 4 flights of stairs to my unit. The elevator has been broken for 3 weeks, and let myself into the small studio that's been home for the past year. It's not much. A bed against one wall, a kitchenette that's really just a hot plate and a mini fridge, a bathroom the size of a closet. But it's mine. I've made it as comfortable as I can with secondhand furniture and clearance rack curtains, and a determination to keep it clean, even when everything else in my life is chaos. I drop my purse on the bed and peel off my wet coat, hanging it over the back of the single chair I own. Then I grab my laptop, a 3-year-old model that's slow but functional, and sit down on the bed, waiting for it to boot up. The search bar blinks at me. I type, Caspian Volkov. The results load slowly, my cheap internet struggling with the request. But when they finally appear, there are dozens of hits. Hundreds, actually. The first few are business articles. Volkov is listed as the CEO of an import-export company called Volkov Enterprises. There are photos of him at charity galas, at business conferences, shaking hands with city officials. He looks exactly the same in all of them, controlled, composed, giving nothing away. I scroll down, looking for anything that might explain Lena's nervousness, her suggestion that Volkov is connected. It takes 10 minutes of searching before I find something. A blog post, buried deep in the search results, from a local investigative journalism site that's known for covering organized crime. The post is from 2 years ago, and it's titled, The New Face of the Old Networks. I click on it. The article is long, dense with details about shifting power structures in the city's criminal underground. It talks about how the old mafia families have evolved, how they've integrated into legitimate business, how the lines between legal and illegal have blurred to the point where it's nearly impossible to tell the difference from the outside. And there, buried in the middle of the article, is Caspian Volkov's name. Sources close to law enforcement suggest that Volkov Enterprises serves as a front for money laundering operations tied to Eastern European organized crime networks. However, no charges have ever been filed, and Volkov maintains a public profile as a legitimate businessman with ties to city leadership and philanthropic organizations. I read the paragraph 3 times, my chest tightening with each pass. He's not just powerful, he's dangerous. And I'm sitting here with his business card in my pocket, seriously considering accepting a job offer that would put me directly in his household. I close the laptop and stand up, pacing the small space between my bed and the kitchenette. This is insane. I should throw away the card. I should forget this whole thing happened. I should find a normal job with a normal employer who doesn't have articles written about his potential connections to organized crime. But I keep coming back to the same problem. I need money. I need it now. And I need it consistently. And I need it in amounts that will actually let me survive rather than just barely scrape by. And Volkov is offering me exactly that. I think about Iris, the little girl with the blue ribbon and the bright smile. 6 years old, growing up in a world I can't even imagine, surrounded by wealth and power and probably danger that she doesn't understand yet. She needs stability, Volkov had said. The current arrangement isn't providing that. What kind of instability does a mafia boss's daughter experience? I sit back down on the bed, pulling my knees up to my chest, and stare at the wall. The rain pounds against the window, a steady rhythm that usually soothes me but tonight just feels oppressive. There's a water stain on the ceiling that's been growing slowly since I moved in. The landlord keeps promising to fix it. He never does. Last week, a pipe burst in the apartment above mine, and water poured through the ceiling for 20 minutes before the maintenance guy managed to shut it off. My books got soaked. My mattress got soaked. I spent 2 days drying everything out with a hairdryer because I couldn't afford to replace any of it. This is my life. This is what I'm protecting by saying no to Volkov's offer. A broken elevator, a growing water stain, and the constant fear that one more disaster will push me over the edge into complete financial collapse. I pull the business card out of my coat pocket. It's damp, but still legible. I stare at the phone number for a long time, arguing with myself, weighing risks against possibilities. Finally, before I can talk myself out of it, I pick up my phone and dial. It rings twice before someone answers. Not Volkov. A woman's voice, professional and neutral. Mr. Volkov's office. I. My voice catches. I clear my throat and try again. This is Sable Hale. Mr. Volkov gave me his card and said to call. One moment, please. Classical music fills the line. Something baroque, precise, and mathematical. I listen to it for what feels like hours but is probably less than a minute. Then Volkov's voice replaces the music. Miss Hale. I'll take the job, I say quickly, before I can change my mind. I'll take the position you offered. There's a pause. I can't tell if it's surprise or something else. When can you start? Whenever you need me to. Tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. I'll send a car to pick you up. Bring whatever you need for the next few days. We can arrange to have the rest of your belongings moved later. This is happening too fast. I'm agreeing to things without thinking them through, making decisions based on desperation rather than logic. But I can't seem to stop myself. Okay, I say. Tomorrow at 7. The car will be outside your building. He says it with certainty, as if he already knows where I live. He probably does. Thank you, I add, though I'm not sure what I'm thanking him for. You're welcome, Miss Hale. I'll see you tomorrow. The line goes dead. I sit there holding my phone, staring at the screen, trying to process what I just did. I accepted a job working for a man who might be a criminal. I agreed to move into his home, to take care of his daughter, to become part of his household. And I did it without negotiating salary, without asking about specific duties, without getting anything in writing. I'm either brave or stupid, and I'm not sure which. I spend the rest of the evening packing. I don't have much. Clothes, toiletries, a few books, my laptop. Everything fits into a single suitcase and a backpack. Looking at the assembled pile, I realize how little I've accumulated in 28 years of life. How easily my entire existence can be reduced to objects that barely fill 2 bags. I don't sleep well. I keep waking up throughout the night, my mind spinning through worst-case scenarios. What if this is a trap? What if Volkov is dangerous in ways I haven't even considered? What if I'm walking into a situation I won't be able to walk out of? But every time I consider backing out, I think about the rent that's due in 12 days. I think about the water stain on the ceiling and the broken elevator and the constant, grinding anxiety of never having enough. At 6:30 in the morning, I'm dressed and waiting by the window, watching the street below. At precisely 7 o'clock, a black car pulls up in front of my building. Not the sedan from yesterday, but a different vehicle. Still expensive looking. Still intimidating. I grab my suitcase and backpack and head downstairs. The driver is a different man from yesterday. Younger, with a round face and a friendly smile that seems at odds with the formal suit he's wearing. Miss Hale? I'm James. I'll be taking you to the Volkov residence. Thank you. I let him take my suitcase and slide into the back seat. The interior of the car is immaculate. Leather seats that smell new, climate control that's set to exactly the right temperature, and a privacy screen between the front and back that's currently lowered. It's about a 40-minute drive, James says as he pulls away from the curb. Mr. Volkov wanted me to let you know that breakfast will be ready when you arrive. That's kind of him. James glances at me in the rearview mirror. Mr. Volkov is very particular about his household running smoothly. You'll find that he's exacting, but fair. I'm not sure how to respond to that, so I don't. Instead, I watch the city pass by outside the window as we drive through neighborhoods I recognize, then through areas I've only seen from a distance. The buildings get nicer, the streets get cleaner, the people walking dogs on the sidewalk are wearing clothing that costs more than my monthly rent used to be. We're heading into one of the wealthiest areas of the city, a section where old money and new money have created enclaves of privilege behind gates and security systems. The Volkov residence, when we finally reach it, is not what I expected. I'd been imagining something ostentatious, something designed to display wealth. Instead, the house is elegant and understated, set back from the road behind a high wall and a gate that opens automatically as we approach. The architecture is modern but classic, all clean lines and large windows, surrounded by mature trees that provide privacy without feeling oppressive. James pulls up to the front entrance and comes around to open my door. Welcome to the residence, Miss Hale. I step out of the car and the front door opens before I can even approach it. A woman in her 50s emerges, dressed in a crisp gray dress that speaks of professional household management. She has kind eyes but a serious expression. Miss Hale, I'm Mrs. Chen. I oversee the household staff. She offers her hand and I shake it. Mr. Volkov is in a meeting, but he asked me to show you around and get you settled. Thank you. Mrs. Chen gestures for me to follow her inside. The foyer is spacious but not overwhelming, with polished wood floors and artwork on the walls that looks original rather than mass-produced. Everything is immaculate, from the fresh flowers on the side table to the way the morning light falls through the windows. The household consists of myself, James, who you've met, a chef named Anton who comes in daily, two housekeepers who work rotating schedules, and a groundskeeper who maintains the exterior. Mrs. Chen explains as we walk. Your role will be to coordinate all of this, to manage Iris's schedule, and to serve as Mr. Volkov's personal assistant for household matters. She leads me through a series of rooms, a living room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a garden, a dining room with a table that could seat 12, a library filled with books that look read rather than decorative. This is the family wing, Mrs. Chen says, opening a door that leads to a quieter corridor. Mr. Volkov's office is here, though he also has an office downtown. Iris's room is at the end of the hall, and this. She opens another door. This will be your room. The room is larger than my entire apartment. A king-size bed, a sitting area with a couch and armchair, floor-to-ceiling windows with a view of the garden, and a door that leads to a private bathroom. Everything is decorated in soft grays and blues, elegant without being fussy. I'll leave you to settle in, Mrs. Chen says. Breakfast is in the conservatory whenever you're ready. Just follow the hall back to the main house and turn left at the library. She leaves, closing the door behind her, and I'm alone in a room that feels like it belongs in a magazine spread rather than in my actual life. I set my suitcase on the bench at the foot of the bed and sit down on the mattress. It's firm but comfortable, and the linens smell like lavender and something else I can't identify. Expensive detergent, probably. This is real. I'm actually here, in Caspian Volkov's house, about to start a job that I barely understand for a man who might be dangerous. I should be terrified. And maybe I am, underneath the numbness. But mostly, I just feel tired. Tired of struggling. Tired of making the wrong choices and ending up in the wrong places. Tired of being alone in a city that doesn't care whether I survive or not. At least here, for now, I'm not alone. And I'm not worrying about where my next meal is coming from or whether I can pay rent. I unpack my few belongings, hanging clothes in a closet that's 3 times the size it needs to be, arranging toiletries in a bathroom that has heated floors and a shower with multiple heads. Then I follow Mrs. Chen's directions back through the house to the conservatory. The conservatory is a glass-walled room filled with plants and morning sunlight. A table is set for one, with fresh fruit, pastries, eggs, and coffee that smells better than anything I've made for myself in months. I sit down and eat slowly, savoring each bite, trying not to think about how surreal this all is. I'm finishing my coffee when I hear footsteps. I look up, expecting Mrs. Chen, but it's Caspian Volkov who enters the conservatory. He's dressed more casually than I've seen him before, in dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows. It makes him look slightly less intimidating. Only slightly. Good morning, Miss Hale. He pours himself a cup of coffee from the carafe on the sideboard. I trust you found everything satisfactory? Yes, thank you. The room it's more than I expected. You'll be living here. You should be comfortable. He sits down across from me, cradling his coffee cup in both hands. Mrs. Chen will spend today going over the household routines with you. Tomorrow, you'll start working with Iris. Does she know I'm here? She will. She's still asleep right now, but I'll introduce you at lunch. His eyes study me over the rim of his cup. You're nervous. It's not a question. A little. Understandable. This is a significant change. He sets down his cup. But I want to be clear about something. You can leave at any time. This is a job, not an obligation. If you decide it's not the right fit, you tell me, and we'll make arrangements for your departure. No consequences. No retribution. The way he says retribution makes me think he's aware of what people say about him, what people fear about him. Okay, I say quietly. I need someone who will look after Iris's well-being, not just her schedule, but her happiness, her development. He leans back in his chair, his posture relaxed, but his gaze intense. She's been through a difficult transition. Her mother passed away 2 years ago. I'm sorry. He acknowledges this with a slight nod. The nannies I've hired since then have been professional and competent, but they've treated the position as a job, not a calling. Iris needs more than competence. She needs someone who sees her as a person, not a task to be managed. I think about the way Iris looked at me when I smiled at her in the restaurant. The way she lit up when I brought her ice cream. I'll do my best. That's all I ask. He stands, clearly signaling that the conversation is over. Mrs. Chen will find you when you're ready to begin. He leaves the conservatory as quietly as he entered, and I'm alone again with the remains of breakfast and a growing sense that I've just agreed to something far more complicated than household management. The rest of the day passes in a blur of information. Mrs. Chen walks me through every aspect of the household operations, from the cleaning schedules to the security systems to the preferred vendors for everything from groceries to dry cleaning. She shows me the household accounts, the budget spreadsheets, the calendar that coordinates everyone's movements. Mr. Volkov is very particular about certain things, she explains. He likes his morning coffee at exactly 6:30. He prefers silence during breakfast unless Iris is present. He doesn't tolerate tardiness or disorder. Noted. He's also generous to staff who prove reliable. The health insurance is excellent. The retirement contributions are above industry standard, and he pays annual bonuses based on performance. I'm starting to understand that working for Volkov is like working for a small corporation, complete with benefits and performance reviews and hierarchies. Except this corporation happens to be run out of a private home by a man who may or may not have ties to organized crime. By the time Mrs. Chen finishes the orientation, it's nearly noon. She leads me back to the conservatory, where lunch has been set out. 3 places this time. Volkov is already there, standing by the windows with his phone to his ear, speaking in what sounds like Russian. He sees us enter and ends the call immediately. And then Iris appears. She's wearing jeans and a sweater today, her dark hair loose around her shoulders, and when she sees me, her entire face transforms with recognition. You're the ice cream lady. I can't help but smile. I am. Father said you're going to work here now. She comes closer, looking up at me with open curiosity. Are you going to live here too? Yes. Good. The last lady who worked here didn't like children. She said I was too loud. Iris says this matter-of-factly, without any apparent hurt, but I catch the way Volkov's expression tightens slightly. I like children, I say. And I don't think you're too loud at all. Iris beams at this. Do you like books? I have a lot of books. I love books. Can we read together after lunch? I glance at Volkov, checking for permission. He nods slightly. That sounds perfect, I tell Iris. Lunch is surprisingly normal. We eat sandwiches and fruit, and Iris talks almost non-stop about school, about her friends, about a bird she saw in the garden this morning. Volkov listens to her with complete attention, asking questions. That show he's genuinely interested in the small details of her day. Watching them together, I see a different side of him. Still controlled, still careful. But there's a softness in the way he looks at his daughter that makes him seem less dangerous and more human. After lunch, Iris takes my hand and drags me to her room, which is exactly what a 6-year-old's room should be. Colorful without being garish, filled with toys and books, and evidence of a child who's encouraged to be creative. There's a reading nook by the window with cushions and a shelf of picture books. We sit in the nook, and Iris hands me a book about a girl who discovers she can talk to animals. I read it aloud, doing different voices for the different characters, and Iris giggles at my interpretation of the grumpy old owl. We're halfway through the second book when I look up and see Volkov standing in the doorway, watching us. I have no idea how long he's been there. Iris notices him too. Father, Sable does the best voices. She made the mouse sound so funny. I heard. He steps into the room. It's time for your piano practice, Iris. Iris groans but doesn't argue. She slides off the cushions and gives me a quick hug before running out of the room, calling back over her shoulder. We can read more later, right? Absolutely, I promise. Then it's just me and Volkov in a room designed for a child, and the atmosphere shifts. Not threatening, exactly, but charged. She likes you, he says. I like her. She's wonderful. She is. He moves closer, and I stand up from the reading nook, feeling awkward sitting while he's standing. You're good with her. Natural. Thank you. You should know. He pauses, choosing his words. Iris is the most important thing in my life. The business, the money, the reputation. None of it matters compared to her safety and happiness. I understand. I don't think you do. Not yet. His eyes lock onto mine. There are people who would hurt her to get to me. There are threats that you can't see from the outside. The security around this house, the precautions we take, they're not excessive. They're necessary. My chest tightens. Is she in danger? No more than she would be as the daughter of any man in my position. But the danger exists, and you need to be aware of it. He crosses his arms. If you're going to be responsible for her care, you need to understand the reality of our situation. What exactly is your situation? He considers this, weighing how much to tell me. I run several businesses, some of which operate in gray areas of legality. I have enemies. I have competitors who would be happy to see me fail. And I have a daughter who is remarkably sheltered from all of this. And I intend to keep it that way for as long as possible. It's the most honest he's been with me since we met. I appreciate that, even as the information makes my stomach clench with anxiety. Why did you hire me? I ask. If the situation is so precarious, why? Hire someone you barely know? Because you showed kindness without calculation. Because you were willing to lose your job rather than make a child unhappy. Because when I looked into your background, I found someone who survived difficulties that would have broken most people, and you did it without becoming cruel or bitter. He uncrosses his arms, his posture relaxing slightly. I need someone I can trust around my daughter. Trust is not something I give easily, but I believe I can trust you. I should be flattered. Instead, I'm terrified, because the weight of his trust feels enormous, and I'm not sure I'm capable of carrying it. I'll do everything I can to keep her safe, I say finally. I know you will. He moves toward the door, then pauses. One more thing. The staff, Mrs. Chen, James, Anton, they're all aware of my business dealings. They're paid well for their discretion and their loyalty. You're now part of that inner circle. What you see and hear in this house stays in this house. Understood? Understood. He nods once and leaves, and I'm alone in Iris's room with the weight of everything he just told me pressing down on my shoulders. I spend the rest of the afternoon with Iris. We read more books, we draw pictures, we play a card game she's invented that has rules that seem to change every few minutes. She's bright and funny and affectionate, reaching for my hand when we walk through the house, asking questions about everything. Do you have any children? She asks at one point. No. Do you have a husband? No. Why not? I laugh. Those are complicated questions. Adults always say things are complicated when they don't want to explain. She says this with such serious wisdom that I have to laugh again. You're right. Okay. Simple answer. I haven't found the right person yet. Oh. She thinks about this. Father hasn't found the right person either. Not since mother died. My chest aches at the casual way she mentions her mother. Do you miss her? Every day. Iris traces a pattern on the table with her finger. But I was really little when she got sick. Sometimes I forget what her voice sounded like. That makes me sad. I bet she had a beautiful voice. She did. Father says I sound like her when I sing. Iris looks up at me. Do you want to hear me sing? I would love to. She sings me a lullaby in Russian, her voice sweet and clear, and I sit there trying not to cry because this beautiful, open-hearted child has already experienced so much loss, and she's still somehow full of joy. When she finishes, I clap softly. That was lovely. Mother used to sing it to me every night. She yawns, the afternoon catching up with her. Will you sing to me sometimes? If you'd like me to. I would. She climbs into my lap without asking permission, nestling against my shoulder. I'm glad you're here, Sable. I wrap my arms around her, this small person who's already claimed a piece of my heart. I'm glad I'm here too. That night, after Iris has gone to bed and the house has settled into quiet, I find myself unable to sleep. I walk through the dark hallways, familiarizing myself with the space, trying to settle the restless energy that's been building all day. I end up in the library. The lights are off, but moonlight streams through the tall windows, casting everything in silver and shadow. I run my fingers along the spines of the books, reading titles at random. Can't sleep. I spin around, my heart jumping into my throat. Volkov is standing in the doorway, wearing dark pants and a t-shirt barefoot. It's the most casual I've ever seen him, and somehow it makes him more intimidating rather than less. I didn't mean to intrude, I say quickly. You're not intruding. This is your home now. He walks into the library, moving past me to a shelf near the window. Have you read Tolstoy? Some. A long time ago. You should read him again, now that you're older. He pulls a book from the shelf and hands it to me. Anna Karenina. People think it's a love story. It's not. It's a story about the costs of choosing passion over stability. I take the book, my fingers brushing his. What do you think she should have chosen? I think she should have chosen herself, but that wasn't an option available to women of her time. He leans against the bookshelf, studying me. You're uncomfortable here. I'm adjusting. But you're uncomfortable. It's not a criticism, just an observation. You keep waiting for something bad to happen. He's right. And I don't know how he knows. Old habits. You've been hurt before. It's not a question, but I answer anyway. Yes. By men like me? I don't know men like you. A ghost of a smile crosses his face. That's probably wise. He pushes away from the bookshelf. I'm not going to hurt you, Sable. And I won't let anyone else hurt you either. You're under my protection now. That means something. What does it mean? It means you're safe. As long as you're in my household, as long as you're caring for my daughter, you have nothing to fear. He moves closer, close enough that I have to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. I protect what's mine. The possessiveness in that statement should alarm me. Instead, it sends a shiver down my spine that has nothing to do with fear. I'm not yours, I say quietly. You work for me. You live in my house. You care for my daughter. His voice is soft, almost gentle. In every way that matters in my world, you are mine. The sooner you accept that, the easier this will be. He's standing close enough that I can feel the heat coming off his body. Close enough that if I reached out, I could touch him. I don't reach out. I don't move at all. What if I don't want to accept it? I ask. Then you leave. I told you that was an option. His eyes search my face. But you won't leave. Because despite your discomfort, despite your very reasonable fear, you know that this is better than what you had before. He's right. And I hate that he's right. I hate that he can read me so clearly when I can barely read him at all. I should go to bed, I say, taking a step back. He lets me retreat, doesn't try to close the distance again. Good night, Sable. Good night, Mr. Volkov. Caspian, he corrects. When it's just us, you call me Caspian. I nod and flee the library, clutching Anna Karenina against my chest like a shield. Back in my room, I set the book on the nightstand and get ready for bed. But I can't stop thinking about the way he looked at me in the moonlight. The way his voice softened when he told me I was under his protection. The way my body responded to his proximity even as my mind screamed warnings. This is dangerous. Not just because of who he is and what he does, but because of the way I'm starting to feel when he's near me. I need to be careful. I need to maintain boundaries. I need to remember that this is a job, nothing more. But as I finally drift off to sleep, I dream of dark eyes and quiet power and the feeling of being claimed by someone who terrifies and fascinates me in equal measure. The days settle into a rhythm. I wake early, have coffee with Caspian before Iris wakes up, spend the morning managing household affairs, and devote the afternoons and evenings to Iris. We read, we play, we go to the park with James acting as our quiet shadow. I help her with homework, listen to her practice piano, tuck her into bed each night with songs and stories. She blooms under the attention. Mrs. Chen tells me that Iris is happier than she's been in months, more settled, more secure. And Caspian watches it all with those dark, knowing eyes. He's often gone during the day, disappearing to his downtown office or to meetings that are never explained. But when he's home, he seeks me out. In the library late at night, in the conservatory early in the morning, in the hallway between our rooms when the house is quiet. We talk about books, about Iris, about nothing consequential. But there's an undercurrent to every conversation, a awareness that something is building between us, something neither of us has acknowledged out loud. I've been living in the Volkov household for 3 weeks when everything shifts. It starts with a phone call. I'm in the kitchen with Anton discussing the menu for Iris's upcoming birthday party when Caspian appears in the doorway. His face is carefully neutral, but I've learned to read the tension in his shoulders, the slight tightness around his eyes. Sable, I need to speak with you privately. Anton immediately makes himself scarce, and I follow Caspian to his office. I've only been in here a handful of times. It's a masculine space, all dark wood and leather, with walls lined with books and artwork that probably costs more than I'll make in a lifetime. He closes the door behind us and gestures to one of the chairs facing his desk. I sit, and he remains standing, pacing slightly. There's a situation, says finally. Nothing that directly affects the household, but something you should be aware of. Okay. One of my business partners has become problematic. He's made moves that I can't ignore, and I'm going to have to address them. He stops pacing and looks at me directly. This may result in some increased tension, possibly some security concerns. My stomach clenches. What kind of security concerns? The theoretical kind, mostly. But I'm going to be increasing the security presence around the house. You may notice additional personnel. James will be with you and Iris whenever you leave the property. No exceptions. How long will this last? Hard to say. A few weeks. Possibly longer. He sits on the edge of his desk, closer to me now. I want you to understand that I don't take risks with Iris's safety. If I thought there was a real threat, I would send you both away until it was resolved. But this is precautionary. Precautionary because of what? He considers how much to tell me, and I can see the calculation in his eyes. My business partner believes he can undermine my position in our organization. He's wrong, but he's going to try. And when men like him try things, they sometimes make poor decisions that affect people who have nothing to do with the actual conflict. People like Iris. Exactly. I think about Iris's bright smile, her endless questions, the way she trusts me completely. What do you need me to do? Keep her routine as normal as possible. Don't let her see that you're worried. And if James or any of the security staff tell you to do something, you do it immediately without question. Understood. He reaches out and takes my hand, a gesture that surprises me. His fingers are warm, his grip gentle but firm. I won't let anything happen to either of you. I know. And I do know. Whatever else Caspian Volkov might be, he's a man who protects what he considers his. He releases my hand and stands. Thank you for understanding. I stand as well, smoothing down my skirt. Can I ask you something? Always. The man who's causing problems. What will you do about him? Caspian's expression doesn't change, but something in the air shifts. What I always do. I'll remind him why challenging me is a mistake. The coldness in his voice sends a chill through me. This is the other side of Caspian. Not the father who listens patiently to his daughter's stories. Not the man who discusses literature with me in the library. This is the man who runs an organization feared by his competitors. I don't want to know the details, I say quickly. Good. He moves toward the door, clearly ending the conversation. Because I wouldn't tell you anyway. The increased security becomes apparent immediately. There are always at least 2 men I don't recognize stationed around the property. When Iris and I go to the park, James is joined by another guard who trails us at a discreet distance. The gates now require a code to open from the inside, as well as the outside. Iris notices the changes but accepts my explanation that her father is being extra careful because of work. She's more interested in planning her birthday party than in questioning why there are suddenly more adults around. But I feel the tension. I see it in the way Caspian's jaw tightens when he reads his messages. I hear it in the late-night phone calls conducted in Russian behind closed doors. And then, one night, everything comes to a head. I'm in my room reading when I hear raised voices from downstairs. Male voices, harsh and angry. I set down my book and move to the door, opening it just enough to hear better. The voices are coming from Caspian's office. I recognize his voice, controlled even in anger. But there's another man, someone I don't know, shouting in what sounds like Russian mixed with English. I shouldn't go downstairs. I should stay in my room and pretend I heard nothing. But then I hear a crash, like furniture being overturned, and my concern for Caspian overrides my self-preservation. I move quickly down the hallway and the stairs, stopping just outside the office door. It's partially open, and through the gap I can see Caspian standing near his desk, his posture deceptively relaxed. Across from him is a man I've never seen before, red-faced and gesticulating wildly. You think you can just cut me out? The stranger shouts. After everything I've done for this organization? You stole from me, Victor. Caspian's voice is quiet, but it carries more weight than the other man's shouting. You thought I wouldn't notice. You were wrong. I took what I was owed. You took what wasn't yours. Caspian moves, faster than I would have expected for a man his size, and suddenly he has Victor pressed against the wall, his forearm across the other man's throat. You made a choice. Now you live with the consequences. I should leave. I should absolutely leave right now. But I can't seem to make myself move. Please. Victor chokes out. I have a family. Then you should have thought about them before you betrayed me. Caspian doesn't raise his voice, doesn't increase the pressure on Victor's throat. He doesn't need to. The threat is implicit in every word. You have until morning to leave the city. If I see you again, if I even hear your name again, there won't be another conversation. There will only be consequences. He releases Victor, who stumbles away, gasping. You'll regret this. I doubt that. Caspian straightens his cuffs, his composure completely restored. James will escort you out. James appears from somewhere, and I realize he's been in the room the whole time, standing guard. He takes Victor's arm firmly and guides him toward the door. That's when Victor sees me. His eyes widen, and then he laughs. An ugly sound. Is that her? The new nanny? He looks at Caspian. Does she know what you really do? Does she know what kind of man she's working for? Caspian's expression hardens. Get him. Out of here. James pulls Victor toward the main entrance, but Victor keeps talking, his voice echoing through the foyer. Ask him about Moscow. Ask him about the Petrov family. Ask him. The front door slams, cutting off whatever else he was going to say. Caspian turns and sees me standing in the hallway. You shouldn't be here. I heard the noise. I was worried. You should have stayed in your room. He walks toward me, and I have to resist the urge to back away. What did you hear? Enough to know that man was stealing from you. And? And you threatened him. I did. He stops in front of me, studying my face. Are you frightened? I consider lying, then decide against it. A little. Of me? Of this? Of what you do? I wrap my arms around myself. I knew what you were when I took this job. But knowing it abstractly and seeing it directly are different things. He nods slowly. Do you want to leave? I. I pause, examining my own feelings honestly. No, I don't want to leave. Something shifts in his expression. Why not? Because Iris needs me. Because I trail off, not sure how to articulate the complicated truth. Because you what? He moves closer, eliminating the space between us. Because I trust you, I say finally. I don't know why. I shouldn't. But I do. His hand comes up to cut my face, his thumb brushing across my cheekbone. It's the first time he's touched me like this, and my breath catches. You shouldn't trust me, he says softly. I'm exactly what Victor implied. Dangerous, criminal, capable of violence. I know. And yet you're still here. I'm still here. We stand there in the dim hallway, his hand warm against my skin, neither of us moving. The moment stretches, charged with everything we haven't said, everything we've been carefully dancing around for weeks. Then he drops his hand and steps back. Go to bed, Sable. We'll talk about this another time. Caspian, go. It's not harsh, but it's final. I go. But I don't sleep. I lie awake thinking about the way he looked at me, the way his touch felt, the way my body responded, even as my mind cataloged all the reasons this is a terrible idea. I'm falling for him. Despite everything, despite the danger and the complications and the fundamental impossibility of anything real between us, I'm falling for Caspian Volkov. And that might be the most dangerous thing of all. The next morning, Caspian is gone before I wake up. Mrs. Chen tells me he had urgent business downtown and won't be back until late. I spend the day with Iris, trying to act normal, trying not to think about last night. But Iris is perceptive. Is everything okay, Sable? Everything's fine, sweetheart. Father seemed upset this morning. He didn't smile at breakfast. I pull her into a hug. Your father has a lot of responsibility. Sometimes that's stressful. Do you think he's lonely? The question catches me off guard. What makes you ask that? He's always alone. Even when we're with him, he seems separate. She pulls back to look at me. Mother used to make him laugh. I haven't heard him really laugh since she died. My heart aches for this child who's trying to understand loss and loneliness at 6 years old. Maybe he just needs time. Or maybe he needs someone. Iris looks at me with eyes too wise for her age. Someone like you. Iris, you make him less lonely. I can tell. She says it with such simple certainty that I don't know how to respond. Before I can figure out what to say, James appears in the doorway. Miss Hale, Mr. Volkov is on the phone for you. He said it's important. I follow James to the office and pick up the phone. Hello? Sable. Caspian's voice is tight with tension. Listen carefully. Victor was found dead this morning. Suicide, apparently. The police may want to speak with me, which means they may want to speak with household staff as well. My stomach drops. He killed himself? That's the official story. The way he says it makes it clear that he doesn't believe it. If the police come to the house, you tell them the truth about last night. Victor was here. We had a discussion. He left. Nothing more. Do you understand? Yes. Good. I'll be home soon. Don't let Iris out of your sight. He hangs up without saying goodbye. I set down the phone with shaking hands. Victor is dead. Whether he actually killed himself or whether something else happened, he's dead. And I was the last person other than Caspian and James to see him alive. This is what Caspian's world looks like. This is the reality of the life he leads. People who cross him end up dead, and the official stories never quite add up to the truth. I should be horrified. I should be packing my bags right now. Instead, I go find Iris and suggest we bake cookies, and I pretend that everything is normal while my world quietly tilts on its axis. The police don't come that day, or the next. Caspian returns home late that first night, looking exhausted but composed. He finds me in the library because of course he knows that's where I'll be. Are you all right? He asks. I should be asking you that. I didn't care about Victor. I care about you. He sits down beside me on the couch, closer than he's ever sat before. About whether this is too much for you? Is it true? Did he kill himself? Caspian doesn't answer immediately. When he does, his voice is careful. The police are calling it suicide. There's evidence to support that conclusion. That's not what I asked. I know. He looks at me directly. What do you want me to say, Sable? That I'm a good man? That I only hurt people who deserve it? That there's a moral code to what I do? I want you to tell me the truth. The truth is complicated. Victor made choices that put him at odds with powerful people. Whether he jumped or was pushed, the result is the same. He's gone, and the organization moves forward. And you feel nothing about it. I feel satisfaction that a problem has been resolved. I feel relief that Iris is safer without him in the picture. I feel... He pauses. I feel concerned that you're looking at me differently now. I am looking at you differently. Something painful flashes across his face. I understand if you need to leave. I'm not leaving. The words come out firm, certain. I'm angry that you won't just be honest with me about what happened. I'm scared of what your life means for Iris. But I'm not leaving. He reaches for my hand, threading his fingers through mine. Why not? Because Iris needs me. Because I take a breath, making a choice. Because I'm in too deep to walk away now. In too deep with the job or in too deep with me? My heart hammers against my ribs. Both. He pulls me closer, his free hand coming up to cradle the back of my head. We're so close now that I can see the fine lines around his eyes, the silver threading through his dark hair at the temples. This won't end well, he says quietly. Men like me don't get happy endings. Maybe we don't need a happy ending. Maybe we just need this. He kisses me then, and it's nothing like I expected. Not aggressive or demanding. Instead, it's gentle, almost reverent, like he's been waiting for this, and now that it's happening, he wants to savor every second. I kiss him back, my hands fisting in his shirt, all my carefully maintained boundaries dissolving in the space between one heartbeat and the next. When we finally break apart, we're both breathing hard. This changes everything, he says. I know. I can't promise you safety. I can't promise you normalcy. I'm not asking for promises. I touch his face, tracing the line of his jaw. I'm just asking for honesty, for as much of the truth as you can give me. He turns his head and presses a kiss to my palm. I'll give you everything I can, but there will always be parts of my life that I keep separate. Not because I don't trust you, but because knowing certain things would put you in danger. I understand. Do you? His eyes search mine. Do you really understand what it means to be with me? Probably not completely, but I'm willing to find out. He kisses me again, deeper this time, and I let myself fall into it. Into him. Into this impossible situation that should terrify me, but instead feels like coming home. We don't sleep together that night. We just sit on the couch in the library, his arm around me, my head on his shoulder, talking quietly about everything and nothing until the early hours of the morning. When I finally go back to my room, I feel changed, not frightened or uncertain, but resolved. I'm choosing this, choosing him, choosing a life that's complicated and dangerous and probably unwise. But for the first time in longer than I can remember, I feel like I'm choosing rather than just surviving. The next few weeks pass in a strange kind of domestic bliss. During the day, I'm Iris's caregiver and household manager. During the evenings, after Iris is asleep, I'm Caspian's something. Not quite girlfriend, not quite partner. Something undefined that exists in the spaces between what we are to the world and what we're becoming to each other. We're careful around Iris. She's too young to understand the complexity of adult relationships, and Caspian wants to protect her from confusion while she's still grieving her mother. So in front of her, we maintain professionalism. But I catch the way he looks at me across the dinner table, the way his hand lingers when he passes me something, the way his whole demeanor softens when I enter a room. Mrs. Chen knows. I can tell by the knowing looks she gives me, but she doesn't say anything. The staff has been with Caspian long enough to understand that discretion is paramount. Iris's birthday party happens on a Saturday afternoon. We've transformed the garden into a wonderland of balloons and streamers, and a dozen of her school friends arrive with their nannies or parents. I spend the afternoon managing games and cake and present opening, watching Iris light up with joy. Caspian is there too, more relaxed than I've ever seen him in public, actually laughing at the children's antics. He catches my eye at one point, and the look he gives me is so full of warmth that I have to look away before I start crying. This is what a normal life could look like. This is what happiness feels like. But that night, after the party is cleaned up and Iris is in bed, exhausted and happy, Caspian sits me down in his office with an expression I recognize as serious. I need to go to Moscow, he says. There are business matters that require my personal attention. My chest tightens. How long will you be gone? A week? Possibly two. He takes my hand. I want you and Iris to come with me. To Moscow? I have a residence there. You'd be safe, and Iris would enjoy seeing the city. She hasn't been back since her mother passed away. He pauses. And I'd prefer to have you both where I can protect you directly. Is there a threat here? No more than usual. But Victor wasn't working alone, and while the situation has been resolved, I'd feel better knowing you're with me. I think about what this means. About traveling to a foreign country with a man I've known for less than 2 months. About immersing myself even deeper into his world. Okay, I say. We'll come. Relief flashes across his face. Thank you. But Caspian? I squeeze his hand. I need you to promise me something. What? If this trip is dangerous, if there's any real chance that Iris could be hurt, you tell me. You don't protect me from information that I need to keep her safe. He considers this, then nods. I promise. We leave for Moscow 3 days later. The flight is on a private jet, luxurious in a way that makes my old life feel like a distant dream. Iris is delighted by everything: the plane, the flight, the idea of seeing a new city. Caspian spends most of the flight on his phone and laptop, conducting business in rapid Russian. But he takes breaks to check on us, to answer Iris's endless questions about Moscow, to bring me tea, and make sure I'm comfortable. When we land, there's a car waiting. Not James this time, but a Russian driver who greets Caspian with obvious respect and maybe a touch of fear. The Moscow residence is even more impressive than the house back home. A 3-story building in the center of the city, classical architecture on the outside and modern luxury on the inside. There's a full staff waiting for us, and Caspian introduces me as Iris's caregiver. Nothing more. That first night, I put Iris to bed in a room that's been prepared for her, complete with toys and books in both Russian and English. She's tired from travel, but excited about exploring tomorrow. I like it here, she tells me as I tuck her in. It smells different than home, but in a good way. What does it smell like? Like father's cologne, and old books, and snow, even though there's no snow right now. She yawns. Will we see mother's grave while we're here? My heart clenches. If you'd like to, I can ask your father. I would like to. I want to tell her about you. About me? About how you make father smile again. I think she'd be happy about that. Iris's eyes are already closing. I think she'd like you. I kiss her forehead and leave her to sleep, my emotions in turmoil. Caspian finds me on the terrace outside my room. It's late, the city lights spreading out below us like a carpet of stars. She wants to visit her mother's grave, I tell him without preamble. He leans against the railing beside me, silent for a long moment. All right, we'll go tomorrow. She said she wants to tell her mother about me, about us. And how do you feel about that? Terrified, honored, guilty. I look at him. Her mother has only been gone 2 years. Is this too fast? Are we being unfair to Iris? Elena would have wanted Iris to be happy, and she would have wanted me to move forward with my life. He touches my face gently. She wouldn't have wanted either of us frozen in grief. You loved her. I did. Very much. He doesn't look away from me when he says it. But people can love more than once in a lifetime. The heart has more capacity than we give it credit for. I'm falling in love with you, I say, the words escaping before I can stop them. I know it's too soon. I know this is complicated. But I need you to know. He pulls me into his arms, holding me against his chest. I already know. I've known since the night you stayed in the library with me instead of running away like you should have. You never run away from things that matter. I murmur into his shirt. No, you don't. He tilts my chin up to kiss me, soft and deep. I'm falling in love with you too, Sable, and that terrifies me more than anything else in my life. Why? Because loving someone means giving them power over you. And in my world, power is the most dangerous thing you can surrender. We stand there on the terrace, holding each other, two people who should never have met, let alone fallen in love, finding comfort in the impossibility of what we've become to each other. The next day, we visit Elena's grave. It's in a beautiful cemetery on the outskirts of Moscow, all white stone and Orthodox crosses and flowers blooming despite the season. Caspian hangs back, letting Iris and me approach the grave alone. She's brought flowers, pink roses that she insists her mother would have loved. Hello, Mama, Iris says softly, kneeling by the headstone. I brought someone to meet you. This is Sable. She takes care of me now, and she makes Father happy. I think you'd like her. I kneel beside her, my throat tight with emotion. Sable, this is my mama, Elena Volkova. She was beautiful and kind, and she sang to me every night. Iris traces the engraved letters on the stone. I miss her so much, but I'm glad I have you now too. I'm honored to know you, Elena, I whisper to the grave, feeling slightly foolish but wanting to honor this moment. I'll take good care of them, I promise. Iris leans against me, and we sit there together in silence, paying respects to the woman who came before me, the woman whose loss created the space I now occupy. When we finally stand to leave, Caspian is there, his expression carefully controlled, but his eyes suspiciously bright. He takes Iris's hand, then reaches for mine, and we walk out of the cemetery as a unit, as a family. The rest of the Moscow trip is a blur of meetings for Caspian and sightseeing for Iris and me. We visit Red Square, the Kremlin, art museums where Iris marvels at centuries-old masterpieces. The city is beautiful and overwhelming, and Iris soaks up every experience with infectious enthusiasm. But underneath the tourism, I'm aware of the undercurrents, the serious meetings Caspian attends, the phone calls conducted in hushed Russian, the way his security detail doubles and then triples. On our last night in Moscow, after Iris is asleep, Caspian takes me to dinner at a restaurant that's apparently closed to the public for the evening. We're the only patrons, served by staff who move with practiced efficiency. This is excessive, I say, looking around at the empty dining room. I wanted privacy. He reaches across the table to take my hand. I wanted to be able to talk to you without worrying about who's listening. What do we need to talk about? The future. What you want from this relationship. What you're willing to accept. I choose my words carefully. I want to be with you. I want to help raise Iris. I want a life, Caspian. As normal a life as we can manage given who you are. And if normal isn't possible, then we figure it out together. I squeeze his hand. I'm not naive enough to think this will be easy, but I'm choosing it anyway. What if I can't protect you? What if someone tries to hurt you to get to me? Then we deal with it. Together. I look at him directly. I'm not going to live in fear of what might happen. I've spent too much of my life being afraid. Something shifts in his expression. You're stronger than you think you are. I've had to be. And now I'm choosing to be strong enough for this. He stands and moves around the table, pulling me to my feet and into his arms. Come home with me tonight. Not to your room. To mine. My heart races. Caspian, I'm not asking for anything you're not ready to give. I just want to fall asleep with you in my arms. I want to wake up next to you. His voice drops lower. I want to know what it feels like to have you completely, even just for one night. I should say no. I should maintain boundaries. But I'm tired of boundaries. Tired of protecting myself from possibilities. Okay, I whisper. Yes. We don't rush back to the residence. We finish dinner, drink wine, talk about everything and nothing. But there's an awareness between us now, an anticipation that makes every touch feel charged with meaning. When we finally return home, we check on Iris together. She's sleeping soundly, sprawled across her bed with one arm around a stuffed bear. Then Caspian takes my hand and leads me to his room. His bedroom is larger than mine, decorated in dark woods and deep blues, with a bed that's ridiculously oversized and windows that overlook the city. I'm nervous, I admit. So am I. He pulls me close, his hands gentle on my waist. We don't have to do anything tonight except sleep. What if I want more than sleep? Then we'll take our time. No rushing, no pressure. He kisses me softly. Just you and me, figuring this out together. We undress each other slowly, reverently, like we're unwrapping something precious. He's beautiful in the dim light, all lean muscle and controlled power. And the way he looks at me makes me feel beautiful too, despite my scars and insecurities. We make love slowly, tenderly, learning each other's bodies and reactions. He's patient and attentive, making sure I'm comfortable, that I want this as much as he does. And when we finally come together completely, it feels like something more than just physical. It feels like a claiming, a promise, a bond forged in intimacy and trust. Afterward, we lie tangled together, my head on his chest, his fingers tracing patterns on my bare skin. I love you, he says into the darkness. I know it's soon. I know it's complicated. But I love you, Sable. I love you too. I press a kiss over his heart. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Together. He agrees. We fall asleep like that, wrapped around each other, two unlikely people who found something real in the midst of impossible circumstances. When we return home from Moscow, something has shifted, not just between Caspian and me, but in the household as a whole. Mrs. Chen starts deferring to me on more significant matters. The staff treats me differently, with a respect that goes beyond my official role. And Iris, perceptive as always, starts referring to me as more than just her caregiver. Are you and father in love? She asks me one afternoon as we're baking cookies. I pause in the middle of measuring flour. What makes you ask that? You look at each other the way people in love do in movies, and you smile a lot more now. And father actually laughs at things. She adds chocolate chips to the bowl with intense concentration. It's okay if you are. I think it's nice. Would it bother you if your father and I were together? She considers this seriously. A little bit, maybe, because it means mother really isn't coming back. But also not really, because I already knew she wasn't coming back. And you make him happy. And you make me happy. So I think mother would approve. I pull her into a hug, this wise, wonderful child who's handling her life with more grace than most adults could manage. I do love him, I tell her honestly. And I love you too. I know. She hugs me back fiercely. Can I call you Sable Mom? My heart clenches. If you'd like to, but only if you're comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with it. She pulls back and grins at me. Now, can we finish these cookies? I want to give some to father when he gets home. That night, after Iris is in bed, I tell Caspian about the conversation. Sable Mom, he repeats, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. She's claimed you completely. Is that okay with you? It's more than okay. He pulls me down onto his lap. I've been thinking about our future, about making this official. My heart starts racing. Official how? I want you to marry me. He says it simply, directly. Not for appearances, not for convenience. Because I love you, and I want you to be part of this family permanently. Caspian, I know it's fast. I know there are complications. But when has that ever stopped us? His hands frame my face. I can't promise you a normal life. I can't promise there won't be dangers and difficulties. But I can promise that I will love you, protect you, and honor you for the rest of my life. Tears are streaming down my face. You're serious. Completely serious. He wipes my tears with his thumbs. Will you marry me, Sable? Will you let me make this official? I think about everything that's happened in the past few months. About being fired for an act of kindness. About accepting a job from a dangerous man. About falling in love despite every logical reason not to. About finding a family in the most unexpected place. Yes, I whisper. Yes, I'll marry you. He kisses me then, deep and passionate, sealing the promise we've just made to each other. The next morning, we tell Iris together. She shrieks with delight and launches herself at both of us, nearly knocking us over with her enthusiasm. Can I be a flower girl? Can I help plan the wedding? Can I pick out my dress? The questions tumble out one after another. Yes to all of it, Caspian tells her, grinning in a way I've never seen him grin before. We plan a small ceremony, just close friends and essential family. Caspian's world doesn't lend itself to large public celebrations, and I've never been one for spectacle anyway. What matters is the commitment, the promise, the choice to build a life together. The day of the wedding is perfect. We get married in the garden of the house, surrounded by flowers and the people who matter most. Iris walks down the aisle ahead of me in a dress she picked herself, scattering rose petals with serious concentration. When I reach Caspian at the altar, he takes my hands and I see everything I need to see in his eyes. Love, commitment, the promise that he will do everything in his power to protect this fragile, beautiful thing we've built. We exchange vows that we wrote ourselves. I promise to love him despite the complications, to support him through difficulties, to be a mother to Iris and a partner to him. He promises to honor me, to keep me safe, to share as much of his life with me as he can. When he kisses me, Iris cheers, and I hear Mrs. Chen sniffle from her seat in the front row. The reception is small, but joyful. We dance, we eat, we celebrate this improbable union, and when the sun sets and the guests depart, it's just the three of us, Caspian, Iris, and me. Are we a real family now? Iris asks, tucked between us on the couch. We were always a real family, Caspian tells her. This just makes it official. I like official. She yawns. Can we do family things tomorrow? Like go to the park and get ice cream? I laugh, remembering how this all started with ice cream. Absolutely. That night, after Iris is asleep, Caspian and I stand on the terrace looking out at the garden, at the house that's become our home, at the life we've built from the ashes of what we used to be. No regrets? He asks. Not a single one. I lean against him, feeling his arms come around me. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Even knowing what you know about me, about my business, especially knowing that. I turn to face him. I didn't fall in love with an idea of you, Caspian. I fell in love with the reality. With the man who protects his daughter fiercely. With the man who saw someone being punished for kindness and decided to do something about it. With the man who's capable of ruthlessness but chooses to be gentle with the people he loves. You see me more clearly than anyone ever has. His voice is rough with emotion, including myself sometimes. That's what love is. Seeing someone completely and choosing them anyway. He kisses me under the stars, in the garden where we were married, in the home where we'll raise Iris and build our life together. It's not a fairy tale. There will be challenges ahead, complications that come from loving a man who walks the line between legal and criminal. There will be dangers and difficulties and moral ambiguities I'll have to navigate. But standing here in his arms, I know I've made the I choice. Because sometimes the most dangerous decision is also the most necessary one. Sometimes falling is the only way to learn that someone will catch you. And sometimes the darkness isn't something to fear. It's just the shadow cast by light from an unexpected source. I was fired for giving a client's daughter ice cream. The mafia boss watching changed everything. He saw kindness where others saw presumption. He saw value where others saw disposability. He saw me when I thought I was invisible. And in seeing me, in choosing me, he gave me something I'd been searching for my entire life, a place to belong. Not despite the complications, but because of them. Not in spite of who he is, but because of exactly who he is, the woman who brings ice cream to children, the man who protects what he loves with ruthless precision, the little girl who needs stability and gets love instead. We're an impossible family, forged from circumstances that should have broken us, but we're also exactly what each of us needed. And that, I think as I drift off to sleep in my husband's